Now, as we jump into this book, there's one more thing I need to mention. I said that there's these additions kind of to the book over time. Well, one of the additions to the book, I mean, this book was written in the 1500s, but one of the additions to the book, and this is something that Eric added, that he found a translation of the book by a researcher and a practitioner of the sword arts. And this guy's name was Hori Shohei. And he produced the text and he put little helpful interpretations, kind of furthering the idea a little bit. So I'll read those sometimes because it gives a little bit of clarification as to what's being talked about. And these first 8 lines are actually, I'll give it up for these first 8 lines in this book being fairly epic. Sure. And again, these were written by Tokugawa Shogun Yoshimune. And again, he was the shogun ruler of Japan from 1716 to 1745. And here's what he added to the book. And I think these are, well, here's number 1. You cannot have pleasure without pain, and you cannot have pain without pleasure. Your struggles now will be rewarded in the future, so you must endure. Right?
Yes.
Kind of speaks for itself, does it not?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think we call that discipline equals freedom.
Yep.
Next, be reverent towards the law, be afraid of fire, be afraid of thoughtless, delusional people, and never forget to be reverent to those you owe a debt of gratitude to. This is one of those things that, what do we say now? Never forget where you came from, right? People say never forget where you came from. Well, don't forget those people that got you there.
Yeah.
Because where you came from, somebody helped you along the way. Mm-hmm. And so don't forget about that. Next one. You should think of greed and lust as the enemy. Concur. I think I like this one. You should neither sleep late nor talk too long. Now, I guess I'm kind of the talk too long. I may be violating that on a regular basis, at least once a week on a podcast.
Yes, me too sometimes.
Actually, you might violate that on the regular.
Potentially.
Hey, but here's a guy. Don't sleep late. And I get this every time somebody talks to me about sleeping, someone says, "Well, I have the night shift."
Yeah.
Or, "Well, I work late and my kids don't go to bed until midnight." Okay, I get it. I'm not saying everyone in the world has to wake up at 4:30.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is this: you shouldn't sleep late, right? And if you work the night shift, not sleeping late might be waking up at noon, right? But you didn't oversleep is my point.
Yeah, it's the idea, just like how you said, like we all want to like stay cozy in our bed and kind of take our time and getting up and kind of thing. Yeah, it's the idea for sure. That's what I get from it anyway.
It's not the mandatory thing.
Yeah, 4:30, and if you don't wake up at 4:30, you're whack or something.
Yeah,
like that.
like someone. I had a picture of my hand on the interweb, right? Mm-hmm. And I had a little callus get removed on the pull-up bar. And
on the pull-up bar.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But someone said, "Hey, if someone doesn't have calluses, they don't work out." And then someone else said, "Well, what if you run a marathon? You still work out." Yeah. And so that's not the point, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yes. It's the point is get some, right? Can you get some while training for a marathon? Yes. Can you get some while running a marathon? Yes, you can.
Yep.
Look at Rob Jones.
Yep.
He just ran 31 marathons in 31 days.
Yeah, that's getting some.
We're not accusing him of not working out.
Yeah, mad at his lack of calluses, although I'm sure he has calluses too.
Yeah. All right, next. Take care to organize even trivial things. Then if something major occurs, it will not catch you off guard. So that's the little things that matter. Attention to detail. You learn that when you're in the military. When you join the military, I joke about it. They make you fold your underwear in like a 4x4 inch square. Yeah. And that's the thing. They're trying to teach you attention to detail. Yeah. Because actually I was talking to a Marine buddy of mine. I want to say it was Morgan. Yeah. And they landed their helo and the gunner or whoever was in charge of the weapon cracked off a 50 cal round into so you have a 50 cal mounted in the helicopter.
Yeah.
Guy cracked off a round. If a weapon gets hot, it can just shoot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If a weapon is really hot, it's called a cook-off.
Dang.
You've got a round in the chamber, and the weapon's hot, and it can just make that round go off.
From what? Anything? Just weather?
No, from hot. If it's hot, well, you're shooting it. Okay, if it's hot outside,
gotcha.
Then you shoot it a bunch, and now it gets hot. And there's a hot round sitting in the chamber, and a minute goes by, or you don't know how long it's going to be. It could be a minute, it could be 5 minutes, but boom, all of a sudden it just fires.
Yeah.
And before, in this particular case, I'm not sure the weapon system, it was a 50 caliber, but I'm not sure where they had it mounted. But anyways, he should have cleared it before he folded it up into the helicopter. Mm-hmm. And he didn't do that. And so he pulled the rounds out, but there's one round sitting in the chamber. And sure enough, it cooked off. So that's the kind of thing where they're trying to get you to pay attention to the small details.
Yeah.
The trivial things.
Yeah.
Because the trivial things aren't too trivial.
Yeah. Do they explain that to you? Like when you're folding your underwear, do they explain, at all?
They do. And I've talked about this before on the podcast that my drill instructor in officer candidate school, at the end of officer candidate school, he explained why on everything. At the end.
Oh, like Mr. Miyagi. Like
now,
you're doing
of course, while you're doing it though, they'll be saying, "How can you can't even fold your underwear not right? How can we trust you with a weapon system?" You know what I mean? They'll say that kind of thing to you, but you don't really. When I was going through regular boot camp, you're just your mind is being transformed from civilian world to military world, so you don't have good perspective.
Yeah, makes sense. Yes.
You're like, weapon system, man. I just want to eat the next meal. You're not. You can't see the big picture. Mm-hmm. I mean, I couldn't. I was too young or too dumb or a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But they do. They're saying, hey, how could you fly an airplane if you can't even fold your underwear right, boy?
Yeah.
You're actually thinking, well, damn, maybe I shouldn't be flying an airplane if I can't fold my underwear right.
Yeah.
But they're trying to teach you attention to detail, and it is good. And it does apply to everything. It does apply to everything. And you do the little things right, and that way the little things are in order, and that means the big things, even if they catch you a little off guard, you're at least prepared for them.
Yeah. That whole thing. I mean, I dig it. How they're talking to you guys like that, but that whole thing where, how do you expect to do this when you can't even, tie your shoes right or whatever, like say,
you don't buy into that, huh? I do.
Bruh. Well,
actually, no, it's good.
You're like, how are you going to run? Because a lot of things, it's like a false little equivalency there. Some things.
They're telling you to pay attention to little things.
No, I
it's
get
called
it.
Attention to detail.
I get that part of it for sure, but I'm saying like if they're not explaining why, and it could be wrong.
Well, they're explaining why, but they're doing it. They're not breaking it down for you
not yet,
like a school teacher is like, okay, well, this is Echo Charles. Let me tell you why this is important. They're not doing that to you.
You gotta sound like that.
No, I'm just. They're not. They're saying, hey,
I get
Echo,
it. Yeah.
How can we trust you with a rifle if you can't fold your underwear right?
Yeah. Okay.
And I would say this. Maybe I didn't see the big picture, but I at least saw the little picture.
Well, that's really the thing. Ultimately, like like, and I mentioned Mr. Mia, like on Karate Kid, right, where he's like wax on, wax off, and he's like, oh, this is so dumb. Then at the end, he gets the picture, But as he's doing it, I mean, he didn't say, if you can't stand the floor, how are you gonna fight in the tournament? Nothing like that. But
he was teaching him some kind of technique, allegedly.
Right, but that's essentially what they're doing as far as attention to detail. They're making you do all these little.
What could you do jiu-jitsu that would make you? There's nothing.
Dean I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff.
To sit there and footlock pieces of wood.
Yeah, but that's pretty. Like that's an obvious translation. True. I'm gonna footlock. It's like punching a punching bag. Same thing. Yeah. Jiu-jitsu version.
Check. All right, going to the next one. 90% is not enough. Only 100% will keep disaster at bay. That's good. Sure. Now, of course, many times I'll say, hey, 80, you got an 80% solution, go. Right?
Yeah.
Because people sit around and wait for the perfect plan.
Good plan now.
So I think that's a little bit different, but I think if you're talking about effort, right? The effort has to be 100%.
Yeah.
You're not going to give 100%.
And it's a settling thing too, right? People don't like settle, don't settle for 90% because it's 100% is required. Exactly, like effort or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I get from it.
Next, having good judgment also means being able to endure.
There you go.
endure, take pain. And it's not just pain. It's also being able to take just annoyance.
Discomfort.
And discomfort and like how many people don't want to do a job just because it's grueling and not fun. Right?
Yeah. Right here, me. A lot of
you fall in that category.
Not right now, currently, obviously, but in general, that's my general attitude for the most part. Sometimes.
What was the worst, most menial job that you really hated?
My worst job that I really hated was being a mover at American Movers on Oahu in Hawaii for the summer.
But then you get a little bit
what?
Like, hey man, I'm gonna move this thing really fast.
No, not at all. It was like moving for other people all day, and it was bad as 13 hours a day average.
I work did I ever tell you about when I worked construction and the first day on the job site, the guys came into the Wendy's. I worked at Wendy's.
Sure.
And the guys looked at me and this old Italian guy, builder, he looks at me and goes, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm making rent." He says, "You want to work here?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "You want to work construction with me?" I said, "Yes, sir." Mm. He said, "Report tomorrow. We're over across," because they were building a place right across the street.
Yeah.
I said, "Yes, sir." So I showed up there in the morning, and a dump truck had come with a ton of concrete block that we were going to build a little foundation wall. And they just dumped it, 100 yards away, all these concrete blocks.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, your job today is to move these blocks over to get them over here near the foundation thing." Yeah. And he said, "We're going to get some coffee and some donuts."
Sure.
Yeah. Donuts. So I said, "Yes, sir." Mm-hmm. And he got in the truck with the guys, right? And I started moving these blocks. I was running. Yeah. Literally running as fast as I could possibly do it. And I wasn't even doing that as a challenge to myself. I was so happy to not be working at Wendy's.
Yeah.
That I just was filled with energy. Yeah. So I get all these blocks done, and another guy was there who didn't go to get coffee and donuts. And he kind of gave me, "Hey, man, you need to slow down.
Yeah.
You're going to make everyone look bad."
Yeah.
And I would just say, "Hey, I'm going pretty slow." And I said, "Don't worry, I'll do whatever. I'll do your job. You can sit there. I don't care."
Yeah. But what
you
is
didn't
it,
get
though?
any of that? You didn't get any? I mean, you didn't propose little challenges to yourself and your little work crew?
That's actually how I got by. Okay. It was like, okay, let me do
just because
things.
If there's a way to get by, you should tell people, because some people are stuck in jobs that they don't like right at this moment in time. They're listening to podcasts and they're working at Wendy's.
Yeah.
And I worked at Wendy's, bro.
Yeah. No, I dig it.
That was not fun.
I worked at Foot Locker.
What did you do there?
Worked at Foot Locker.
But did what?
What, like a sales
shoes?
guy in the back stocking shoes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, man? On Kauai, working at Foot Locker was kind of, well, when you'd walk in, it'd be like, dang, that's kind of cool. You get to wear the ref uniform and all that. But man, when we were in high school, so man, we started working. I was like, it's tedious.
It's weird how your perspective changes.
Yeah. I
was thinking about that the other day when you're a young team guy and you get, when I got my first apartment. Mm-hmm. Dude, I might as well been Donald Trump. I was the richest guy in the world, Yeah. It was like I was the man.
Yeah.
But then as you settle into that, and then you say, well, you know what? It'd be cool to have a little house.
You got to be weary of the greed.
That's true.
But that's natural though, right? It's like, when you get used to something, it becomes the new standard. You know how that whole thing works, right?
Well, okay, then what's the difference between someone, because you and I both know people, we all know people. There's people that get to the comfort zone and then they're done. What's the difference between someone that gets the comfort zone and done and someone that gets the comfort zone and says, all right, I'm comfortable here, but I want more.
Yeah.
I want to do more. Maybe not want more because that implies a materialistic point, but I just want more.
Huh. Yeah, I know, huh? Because they're both really obviously prevalent and almost natural.
Yeah, you can get both those personalities exist.
Yeah, but I'm sure we're all but we're both of that. I'm sure everybody is both of those things in one way or another. We're probably both in the comfort zone big time as far as certain things. I don't know what off the top of my head. I can't.
No,
really
what's interesting? Because if you think about it, you see someone that's got 70% body fat
Yeah.
And you go, dude,
Yeah.
that dude's got 70% body fat. That's got like that sucks. Like,
Yeah.
that person should work, try and drop that percentage down.
Yeah.
But there's someone that's looking at me, some guy that's obsessed with being lean as hell. He's looking at me like, God, I can't believe Jocko's got whatever.
Yeah.
20% or 18, whatever my percent body fat is.
Yeah.
He's looking at me going, dude.
Well,
you know what I mean? So
yeah.
am I in my comfort zone?
No, not
apparently I am.
No, because it's not like you were looking after your body percent levels, and then you hit a certain number, and then you were like, who cares, kind of thing. I don't think that's the way it went. Here's what happened, and not with you. Obviously, I can't speak, as far as your comfort zones go, but a typical one, we'll say, is that, guys will be working out and like getting their fresh haircut or whatever, and then they'll get married, and then they won't work out as much.
Yeah.
Guys, girls, whatever, and do that. They quote unquote let themselves go after they get married, like that kind of stuff. But they might focus a lot more on their career, and then they might want more of that. But then it's like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think you got to watch out for the comfort zone.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right.